The jungle goes quiet in a way that feels personal. Not peaceful. Never that. Quiet like a room where a secret just got told and everyone's waiting to see if you understood it. I'm belly down in wet leaves, my cheek pressed into mud that smells like rot and metal. My mouth is full of blood. Not a dramatic amount, just enough to taste it every time I swallow, just enough to remind me I'm not dreaming. I count my breaths the way they taught us. 4 in, hold, 6 out. Slow enough to keep the panic from climbing into my throat, fast enough that I don't pass out. Somewhere to my left, something clicks. Tick, tick, tick. At first, I think it's my watch, the one I never wind because I'm always afraid it'll stop. Then I realize it's the aircraft. What's left of it, anyway. Metal cooling, a dying animal making small sounds. I don't move. Moving is how you die. Moving makes noise, noise makes people, and people make decisions about whether you're worth keeping. A mosquito lands on my ear and drinks like it's earned it. I let it. Above the canopy, the world is bright and blue and doesn't care. The last time I saw the sky from the inside of a cockpit, it looked harmless. That was this morning. They wake you up before dawn for flights like this. Like darkness makes it easier to pretend you're not doing what you're doing. The tent smelled like coffee and wet canvas and sweat baked into fabric. Somebody was playing cards at a crate table, pretending their hands weren't shaking. The briefing hut had a map pinned to plywood and a fan that just pushed hot air around. The captain pointed with a pencil like he didn't trust his own finger. "Simple run," he said. "Quick eyes on. Confirm movement on this ridgeline. You don't chase. You don't get cute. You see it, you mark it, you come home." He said home like it was a place you could count on. I wasn't flying a bomber. No payload worth bragging about. I was the guy you send when you want someone to look at the problem and live to describe it. Forward air control. Recon. The boring kind of brave. Outside, the crew chief slapped the side of my bird like it was a horse. He leaned in close enough that I could smell cigarettes on his breath and said, "Bring her back. I got a date tonight and I don't want to work late." That's what sticks with you later. Not the flags, not the speeches, a man wanting to go on a date. I climbed in, strapped down, and the canopy sealed me inside my own little glass world. The engine started with a shudder and a growl, and then the prop bit the air, and everything became vibration and purpose. Radio chatter poured into my headset. Call signs, weather, someone asking for a song request like we were a jukebox in the sky. I rolled out with the sunrise chasing me, and for a few minutes, just a few, the country looked like a painting. Rice paddies reflecting gold, rivers like silver threads, mist pooling in valleys like a gentle thing. You can almost forget there are men down there with rifles and patience. Almost. The first warning wasn't visual. It was instinct. That prickling at the base of your neck that says you're being watched. Then the air in front of me snapped. A sharp, dry crack, like someone slapping a 2x4 against the side of the cockpit. "What the—" I started, and didn't finish the sentence.
"Because the second crack came with a flash. Not lightning, not sun. Something angry and fast."
The aircraft lurched. My right wing dipped hard. The controls went soft for half a beat, and then fought me like they were possessed. "Falcon 3, you taking fire?" a voice asked, too calm. I looked down and saw it. Puffs of dark smoke blooming from the tree line, little dirty flowers opening just for me. "Falcon 3 is hit," I said, and my voice sounded wrong, flat like I was reading a grocery list. "I'm taking—" Another crack cut me off. The cockpit filled with the smell of hot oil. Then smoke, grey and thick, curling up from the panel like a hand closing around my throat. Needles danced. Warning lights stuttered. The engine coughed once. Like it was offended I expected it to keep going. Heat pushed against my boots. I felt it through the soles. My training tried to line itself up in my brain. Procedures, checklists, calm steps. But fear kept kicking the pages out of order. Altitude bleeding, airspeed wrong, controls mushy, trees rising. I reached for the radio again. Mayday, Mayday, Falcon 3 going down. And then the engine gave up entirely. No roar, no vibration, just wind screaming around the canopy. And the sudden, horrible silence that tells you you're no longer flying. You're falling. The jungle came up like a wall. I remember thinking, absurdly? So this is what green looks like when it's angry. Then the world became noise and impact and shattered light. Now it's quiet again. Tick, tick, tick. I blink mud out of my lashes and listen. At first I hear only insects and my own breath, ragged in my chest. Then, faint, far, unmistakable voices. And another sound underneath them, low and eager. Dogs. They're coming toward the crash. Toward me. I press my face deeper into the leaves and make myself small, trying to decide which is worse. To run, bleeding and loud, or to stay and trust the jungle to hide me. I don't know how long I lie there before the first voice gets close enough that I can hear individual words. They're not shouting. That's what scares me. Shouting is for people who aren't sure. These voices are steady. Short phrases, quick replies, the tone men use when they're doing a job they've done before. I press my tongue against a tooth to see if it's loose. Pain flares. Still there. My hands shake, so I tuck them under my chest and pin them with my weight. Breathe. 4 in. Hold. 6 out. The dogs come first. I don't see them at first, I hear them. Nails clicking on something hard, snuffling. A low whine like a kettle about to boil. The sound moves in small circles, drifting closer, pausing, drifting again. A shape pushes through the brush 10 yards away. A dog, lean, ribs showing, nose down, tail straight, moving like it's pulled by an invisible rope. It stops, sniffs, lifts its head. For a second, the entire jungle feels like it's staring at me. I don't move. I don't blink. The dog sneezes. Hard, explosive, then turns and trots back toward the voices, annoyed like the scent trail is confusing. Relief hits me so fast it's almost laughter. I swallow it, because confusion doesn't mean safety, it means time. I start to crawl, inch by inch, dragging my body through the wet litter. Every leaf sounds like paper. Every branch looks like a trap. My right shoulder screams when I put weight on it. Something in there isn't seated right. I try not to think about bones. I keep low, moving away from the aircraft. Tick, 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 until the sound fades into jungle noise. The ground dips into a shallow gully choked with ferns. Mud sucks at my elbows. I slide into it like it's a bed. Above me, the voices sharpen. Here, someone says. A reply. Short, clipped, then a laugh. Not cruel, just satisfied. They've found the wreck. I squeeze my eyes shut and picture the map from the briefing. River to the south, ridge line to the west. If I can reach water, I can follow it. If I can follow it, maybe I can find. A twig snaps behind me. Not a dramatic snap. Not a branch breaking. A tiny sound, like a fingernail breaking. My stomach drops. I turn my head slowly, praying I'm wrong. A man is standing at the edge of the gully. He's barefoot, trousers rolled to mid-calf, shirt dark with sweat. He holds a rifle like it's part of his body. No drama, no aiming, just presence. His face is young and old at the same time, eyes flat and curious. We stare at each other. I do the math in my head. Distance, injury, speed, and the answer comes back the same no matter how I add it. You don't get away. I raise my hands, palms out, because what else do you do when your body's already decided to betray you? He says something I don't understand. Not angry, not loud. A statement. Another man appears behind him, then another, like the jungle is producing them. I try to speak anyway. My throat is too dry. The word comes out as a rasp. The first man steps forward, slow. He reaches down, grabs my wrist, and yanks. Pain flashes white. I bite it back. He drags me up the bank like a sack. 2 hands push me forward. Something tightens around my forearms. Rope, rough and fast, cinched hard enough that my fingers tingle. I twist, instinct screaming, and the rifle butt hits my ribs. Air leaves me in a wet grunt. They don't hit me again. They don't need to. The message is clean. This is over. They blindfold me with something that smells like smoke and old sweat. The world becomes muffled. My other senses turn up like someone spun a dial. Hands on my shoulders. A shove. I stumble forward. We walk. At first, it's a rough march through brush, my bare boots sliding in mud. Then the ground changes. Harder. Packed. Used. A trail. Every time I falter, someone grabs my arm and keeps me moving. Not gentle. Not cruel. Efficient. The heat builds under the blindfold. Sweat runs into my mouth and mixes with blood. My wrists burn where the rope bites. Somewhere, a cicada screams like it's trying to warn me. After what feels like hours, the air changes. Smoke. Cooking. Human waste. Too many bodies in one place. Someone jerks the blindfold off. Light stabs my eyes. I blink hard and see bamboo walls ahead, lashed together with vine. A gate, crude but solid. Guard goods with rifles lean on it like it's just another doorway. Inside it's dim and crowded. Shapes move behind the slats. A man steps in front of me. He's older than the others, hair clipped short, face expressionless. He studies me like he's reading a label. He speaks in broken English, each word placed carefully. Pilot. Not a question! I don't answer fast enough, so he nods at someone. A hand clamps the back of my neck and forces me forward. The bamboo gate creaks open. As I'm shoved through, I catch a glimpse of faces inside. Hollow cheeks, eyes too bright. One of them, an American, looks straight at me and barely moves his lips. Don't talk. The gate closes behind me with a sound like a lock turning, and the jungle quiet is replaced by something worse. The quiet of men who have already learned how this place works. They take my boots first. Not because they want my boots, because they want my options. A guard with a face like carved wood points at my feet, then at the mud. When I hesitate, he taps his rifle barrel against my shin, gentle as a reminder. I step out of the boots. The mud kisses my socks, then soaks through, warm and immediate. Inside the bamboo walls, everything smells layered. Smoke over sweat. Sweat over sickness. Sickness over rot. The air is thick enough to chew. Flies move in lazy spirals like they own the place. Sit, someone says in English. It's the older man from the gate. Up close, he's not tall, not broad, just composed. He wears a plain shirt and a wristwatch that looks absurdly clean, like it doesn't belong in this humidity. That watch bothers me more than the rifle. He points to a packed earth spot near a post. I sit. The rope on my wrists is re-tied. Not loosened, re-tied like they're correcting a knot. The guard does it with care, as if he takes pride in good work. The older man crouches in front of me. His eyes travel over my flight suit, the name patch, the insignia. He doesn't touch anything. He doesn't need to. He's inventorying. Name, he says. I tell him. Unit? He asks, like it's a casual question in a bar. I give him the answer they told me to give. The safe one. The one that doesn't confirm anything useful. He watches my mouth like he's checking the words for counterfeit. Then he shifts, almost conversational. You fly. Where? I shrug as much as the rope allows. Lost, I say, and it comes out sharper than I mean. A flicker passes behind his eyes. Amusement, maybe. Or annoyance. He stands and says something to a guard in the local language. The guard nods and walks away. I brace for a beating. Instead, they leave me there. That's how the camp introduces itself. Not with violence, but with the promise of violence whenever it feels like it. Time doesn't behave normally inside bamboo walls. The sun moves, but you don't see it. You measure the day by the ladle of rice water, by the shift change, by the moment the mosquitoes turn from nuisance to organized attack. When they finally drag me into the long hut, it's like stepping into the lungs of an animal. Bodies lie side by side on bamboo slats. Men with hair too long, skin too tight over bone. Someone coughs deep and wet, like drowning in slow motion. Eyes follow me. Not curious, not friendly. Calculating. Everyone here is always calculating. How much trouble you'll bring, how much food you'll take, whether you'll last. A man sits up near the back. His face is lean and weathered, eyes sunk but steady. He raises 2 fingers in a gesture that might have once been a salute. New, he whispers. I nod. He scoots over, making room that isn't really room. Name's Cal, he says. Used to patch people up. Now I count breaths. Medic. The way he says it tells me he's done being proud of it. Beside him, a kid, barely old enough to shave, stares at my flight suit like it's a postcard. His lips are cracked. His eyes are bright with a kind of stubborn faith that looks dangerous in here. Pilot, he breathes, like he's tasting the word. They're gonna come for you. They always come. Cal snorts softly. They might. Don't feed him that. The kid glares. You don't know. I know enough, Cal murmurs. Then, to me, don't promise him anything. Promises rot fast. A movement in the shadows near the hut wall catches my eye. A local man, thin, scars on his forearms, watches us without blinking. He's not tied like the rest. His wrists are free, but his posture is wrong, too controlled, like he's being watched even when no one's looking. He looks away when our eyes meet. Who's that? I whisper. Cal doesn't answer right away. When he does, his voice is flat. He brings water, carries messages. Sometimes he carries people. Don't let him learn your thoughts. The rice water comes in a dented pot. A guard ladles it into battered tins with the precision of a man distributing coins. When my turn comes, he pauses, looks at my face and pours half a ladle less than the others. No reason. Or a reason I'll never know. That night, the older man with the clean watch returns. He walks the hut slowly, stopping at certain prisoners, looking at them like he's choosing fruit. He says a name. A guard yanks the man up. Another name. Another man disappears through the doorway. The kid grips my arm with fingers like twigs. They're making a list. He whispers. Transfers. Punishments. Maybe a trade. Cal's gaze stays on the bamboo slats. Or maybe they're moving camp, he says. That's when people vanish. The older man reaches the end of the row and stops. Right in front of me. He looks down, checks something on a small paper, then looks back up like we're meeting again in a different life. He taps the face of his clean watch once. Tap, tap. Then says a single word in English. Careful and cold. Tomorrow. And for the first time since the crash, I feel something worse than fear. I feel the clock. Tomorrow is a word that can mean anything in a place like this. It can mean another bowl of rice water. Another day you survive on spite. Another day the jungle hums outside the walls and pretends it doesn't care. Or it can mean your name spoken wrong, your hands tied tighter, and a path you don't come back from. That night I don't sleep. No one really sleeps. We doze in fragments, waking every time a cough turns into a choke, every time a guard's boots pause outside the hut, every time the rain taps the roof like fingers searching for a latch. The monsoon has been building for days, heat stacked on heat until the sky finally gives up. By midnight, it breaks. Not a shower, a collapse. Water hammers the bamboo roof. It hits so hard it sounds like applause, like the storm is cheering for our misery. The air turns cold enough to raise gooseflesh on skin that hasn't been dry in weeks. Somewhere outside, a guard shouts at another guard. Then laughter. Then the hard metallic click of a rifle being checked. Cal leans close, his breath sour with hunger. "They're nervous," he whispers. "Storm makes people sloppy." The kid, Mason, I've learned his name, keeps his eyes open like he's afraid if he closes them, he'll miss the rescue. "Storm makes helicopters stay away," he mutters. Cal doesn't argue. He just watches the hut's far corner where the shadow man, the local runner, sits like a statue, listening to everything. When the guards do their last walk, the older cadre man comes again. He doesn't shout orders. He doesn't have to. He points at two men, and they're dragged out, feet scraping bamboo, mouths covered. One of them tries to twist his head around to look back, like maybe seeing the hut one more time will anchor him to life. The kid's hand clamps around my wrist. His nails are sharp. "That'll be us," he whispers. "That'll be—" "Stop!" Cal says, sharper than I've heard him. "Save your breath." Then, when the footsteps fade and the storm swallows the camp, Cal shifts closer to me. His voice drops low enough that I can barely hear it over the rain. "Listen," he says. "There's a thing you need to understand. This place isn't built to hold us forever. It's built to move." "Move where?" I whisper. "Deeper," he says. "Away from eyes. Away from anyone who might notice. They relocate when they think they've been observed." My stomach tightens. Observed. That was my job. And now I'm the consequence of it. Mason swallows hard. "They can't move us," he says, like it's an argument he can win with volume. Cal ignores him. "When they move, they bind you to someone else and march you until your legs forget your name," he says. "And if you can't keep up—" He lets the sentence hang. The camp fills in the rest. I stare at my hands. Rope has carved grooves into my wrists. My fingers are swollen. My right shoulder aches with every breath. "Tomorrow," I whisper. He said tomorrow. Cal nods once. So we don't wait for tomorrow to happen to us. The decision lands between us like a tool. Not hope, not bravery, necessity. "How?" Mason asks, voice shaking. Cal tilts his head toward the hut wall. "You see that post?" he whispers. "The one with the lashings? The vine's old. It slips when it's wet. In the storm, the whole wall flexes. We've tested it." "You've tested it?" I whisper. Cal's mouth twitches. "I told you. I count breaths. I count everything." He slides his hand under the bamboo slats and pulls out a thin strip of metal. Rusted, bent, no bigger than a finger. A piece of something that used to be useful. He presses it into my palm. "For the knot," he murmurs. "Don't cut the rope. Pick it, quiet." Mason's eyes dart. "Guards." "That's the point," Cal says. They hate the rain. They cluster by the cook fire. They drink to stay warm. They listen less. Thunder rolls, close enough to vibrate the floor. The hut's roof leaks in a steady stream onto my neck. Cold water runs down my spine like a warning. On my count, Cal whispers. When the next thunder hits, we move like ghosts. My heart starts doing something stupid, beating hard enough that I'm sure the guards can hear it through bamboo and storm. I bite the inside of my cheek until pain steadies me. 1, 2, 3. The thunder cracks again, so loud it feels like the sky splitting. Cal's fingers find the loosened vine lashing. He twists. The wall gives a fraction. Enough. I bring the metal strip to my knot and work it under the rope fibers. My hands are clumsy, swollen. The metal slips. I freeze, listening for any change outside. Nothing but rain. I try again. Slowly. Patient. The way you disarm a trap. The knot loosens. Just a breath. Then another. My wrists slide free. For a second, I just stare at my hands like they belong to someone else. Cal nods. Mason is already trembling, half panicked, half ready. Cal frees him next with a speed born from repetition. Then we're at the wall. Cal pushes. The bamboo flexes, wet lashings slipping. A gap opens, not wide, just enough for a desperate man to become thin. Mason goes first, squeezing through like a child slipping out of a bed. I go next, shoulder screaming as I twist. My flight suit catches. I tug gently, feel fibers tear, and then I'm out. Outside, the rain hits me like a fist. Cold, loud, blinding. We crouch low and move toward the darkest line of trees. The mud tries to steal my feet. My bare socks soak instantly. My lungs burn with air that tastes like wet earth and smoke. For 10 perfect seconds, the camp doesn't notice. Then, behind us, a shout slices through the storm. A dog barks, once, twice. Then the whole pack erupts like a fuse just found flame. A rifle cracks. Another. The bamboo gate slams open. And the jungle, which had been quiet enough to hide us, suddenly becomes loud with one clear message. We run into the trees like men trying to outrun a sound. Behind us, the camp explodes, shouts swallowed by rain, dogs baying in broken rhythm, rifle cracks snapping through the storm like someone tearing cloth. The jungle doesn't open for us like a doorway. It grabs at us. Vines snag our sleeves, branches whip our faces, mud clutches our ankles like hands. I can't see 10 feet ahead. All I can see is Cal's back, a darker shape moving through darker rain, and Mason's pale face flashing once when lightning stitches the canopy. Left, Cal hisses, and we veer without question because question is a luxury. A dog yelps close enough that my stomach turns to ice. We hit a narrow stream, more a ditch overflowing from the downpour, and Cal doesn't hesitate. He drops into it like he's stepping off a ledge. The water is cold and brown, up to my knees, then my thighs. It pulls at me, trying to steal me away. We stumble downstream, bent low, letting the water drag scent off us. The dogs bark again. Closer, then closer. Cal grabs a fistful of wet leaves from the bank, crushes them between his hands, and smears the green pulp across the back of my neck and wrists. It stings like pepper. Mask, he growls. Don't rub your eyes. Mason whimpers but lets Cal smear him too, blinking hard, jaw tight. We slosh downstream for what feels like a lifetime, feet finding slick stones, knees cracking, breath sawing. When the stream bends, Cal yanks us up into a tangle of roots and deadfall. We crawl under a fallen tree trunk and press our bodies flat in a pocket of darkness. The dogs arrive like a wave. Snuffling, whining, nails clicking on stones. A handler's voice, angry, sharp, cuts through the rain. The dogs pace the bank, noses down, confusion building. One of them splashes into the water, then backs out, unsure. I hold my breath until my chest hurts. I count the beats of my heart like numbers on a radio dial. One dog stops directly above us. I can hear it breathing. I can smell it, wet fur and hunger. Its nose pushes into the roots. Mason's hand trembles against my sleeve. I press 2 fingers into his wrist, hard, warning him. Don't! The dog sneezes, shakes its head and trots away. A handler curses. Another voice answers. Boots slog through mud. Then the sounds drift downstream, chasing ghosts we left behind. Cal doesn't move for a long time. When he finally exhales, it's like he's letting go of a year. Okay, he whispers. Now we die slowly. Mason makes a sound that might be a laugh if it wasn't so close to crying. We move again before dawn, because daylight makes you visible and visibility gets you killed. The storm eases into a steady, miserable rain. Everything is slick. Everything bites. Leeches find the warm spots behind my knees, under my belt line, between my toes. I feel the tiny suction, then the slow, numb pull as they drink. Cal shows me how to remove them without ripping flesh. Thumb and nail, break the seal, flick away. My fingers are clumsy. I still tear one off, and it leaves a bright bead of blood that won't stop. By midday, my shoulder is a constant fire. My socks are shredded, and my feet are pale, wrinkled, already soft from the wet. Every step feels like stepping on bruises. Cal keeps us off obvious trails. He angles uphill, following ridges where water drains and footprints don't last. It's smart. It's also exhausting. My lungs burn. Mason lags, breathing fast, eyes wide. I can't! He starts. You can, Cal says, without kindness. You must. Ahead, the hillside shudders. At first it's just a vibration, like a truck passing in the distance. Then the ground literally moves. Mud loosens, roots tear. A section of the slope gives way with a sound like the earth exhaling. Down! Cal shouts. We hit the ground as a sheet of mud and rocks sloughs past where we'd been aiming, carrying branches and broken bamboo like a river of debris. The slide opens a raw scar in the hillside, brown earth exposed, steaming in the rain. For a second, I think, we're lucky. Then Cal's face tightens. We're visible, he mutters. The landslide has cleared the undergrowth. Anyone tracking us now has a straight line and fresh mud to read like a book. We don't talk about it. We just move. Late afternoon, we reach a river, wide, angry, swollen from the storm. The water is the color of old coffee, and it runs fast enough to scare me, even before I step in. Cal squints upstream. Cross, he says. Mason stares at the current like it's a mouth. We can't. We can. Cal snaps. If we don't, they corner us on this side. We link arms. Cal goes first, probing for rocks. The current hits my legs and tries to fold them. Halfway across, my foot slips and the river grabs me. Cold panic punches the air out of my lungs. I go under, water roaring in my ears. For a second, the world is all brown churn and weightless spinning. Cal's hand clamps onto my sleeve and yanks. My shoulder screams. I surface coughing, gagging, eyes streaming. We make it to the far bank like broken things, crawling, choking, shivering. Mason collapses face first in wet sand and starts laughing, high and thin. Then, through the trees, we hear it. A distant engine note. Not dogs, not rifles. An aircraft. Mason jerks upright like a man waking from a nightmare into a dream. "You hear that?" he whispers, eyes shining. "You hear that? That's ours. That's—" The sound grows louder for a heartbeat, close enough to make hope feel physical, then fades, sliding away into the grey sky as if it never existed. Mason's face changes. Something in him breaks quietly, like a snapped thread. He opens his mouth, and the sound that comes out isn't a word. It's a sob he tries to swallow and can't. Mason cries without sound for a long time. It's not dramatic. No shouting. No begging. Just a steady, ugly leaking from the corners of his eyes, like his body has decided it's done pretending. He stares at the empty sky where the engine noise vanished, lips trembling, and I realize the most dangerous thing out here isn't bullets or dogs. It's what happens when hope shows itself, and then walks away. Cal crouches beside him and pinches the bridge of his nose like he's trying to hold his own skull together. "Listen to me," he says, low and hard. "That wasn't a promise. That was a coincidence. Don't build a home inside a coincidence." Mason doesn't answer. I look down at my hands. They're swollen, cracked, stained with mud that has worked into the lines of my palms like ink. My watch, still on my wrist somehow, has stopped. The second hand dead at some time that isn't now. I twist the crown. Nothing happens. Even my time has abandoned me. We move before Mason's grief can root him. The rain has thinned to a mist, but everything drips. The jungle steams, breathing hot through wet leaves. My shoulder has gone from pain to something heavier, deep, pulsing, like infection knocking from the inside. Every few steps my vision wobbles at the edges. Cal keeps us near the river, but not on it. "People settle near water," he whispers. "That's either good, or it's exactly where they'll look." By late afternoon, the trees begin to thin. Not into open land, just into a different kind of green. We push through a curtain of broad leaves, and suddenly there are straight lines where straight lines shouldn't be. A narrow footpath, compacted earth, a broken bit of woven fence. Human work. Cal freezes, listening. The jungle has a new sound now. Faint, rhythmic, almost musical. A mortar pestle, wood on wood, someone cooking. Mason swallows, eyes huge. "They'll help," he whispers, like he has to say it out loud to make it real. "They'll help themselves first," Cal replies. We creep forward and see it. A small cluster of stilt houses, roofs of palm fronds dark with wet. Smoke curls from a cooking fire under one house, thin and steady. Chickens scratch in mud. A child stands at the edge of a puddle with a stick, drawing circles in water like the world is simple. The smell hits me like a memory. Rice, warm ash, fish. My stomach clenches so hard it hurts. Cal grabs my sleeve before I step out. "We don't burst in," he whispers. "We watch." We watch for a minute that feels like an hour. 2 women carry baskets. A man repairs a net. No rifles in plain view. That doesn't mean anything. Out here, weapons hide until they don't. Mason shifts, too loud, and a chicken flaps, startled. The child looks up. His eyes land on us. For one suspended heartbeat, nobody moves. The child's face doesn't change. No fear, No surprise. Just an unreadable blank, like he's deciding which story we belong in. He turns and runs toward the houses. Mason takes a step after him. Wait! Cal's hand clamps down on Mason's shoulder. No. The village changes instantly. Not into chaos, into alertness. People stop doing what they're doing. Heads turn. A man under the nearest stilt house rises slowly. He has a machete in his hand like he was already holding it. He says something in a flat voice. Not angry, not welcoming. A question. Cal answers in broken phrases, words that sound like the language but aren't quite right, like he learned them from a phrase book and a prayer. He points to our bare feet, our torn clothing, his own hollow cheeks. He mimes hunger. He mimes sickness. The man watches our pantomime like he's watching a performance he didn't pay for. Then he gestures once. 2 fingers. Come. We approach slowly, hands open, showing we're empty. My legs feel like they're filled with wet sand. My vision swims. The ground seems to tilt. Under the stilt house it's darker and cooler. A woman pushes a bowl toward us. Water, cloudy but real. Mason grabs it like it's salvation and drinks too fast, coughing. Cal slaps the back of his head. Not hard, but enough to remind him he's still alive. I sip. The water tastes like earth and smoke. It tastes like not dying. The man crouches across from us. His eyes flick to Cal's face, then to my flight suit, then to the stopped watch on my wrist. He notices everything. He asks something again. Slower. Cal chooses his words carefully. My brain does a strange thing when the engine sound returns. It stops being a brain and becomes a checklist. Signal. Now. No radio, no flares, no stos. No mirstra, no time. Under the stilt house, smoke from the cooking fire drifts in lazy ribbons, thin as breath. Above, the sky is a grey sheet, broken into small squares by floorboards and gaps in the planks. The dog baying is close enough that I can hear the wet slap of paws in mud. Cal's eyes lock on mine. He's already thinking the same thing. Mason is shaking so hard his teeth click. The man with the machete watches us like we're animals he doesn't want to touch. His teenager, bell still in hand, stares at my flight suit with a mixture of awe and dread. Outside, someone shouts. A dog answers. The village holds its breath. I point at the cooking fire, then at the sky. I make the shape of an aircraft with my hand and tilt it in a circle. I tap my chest, me, then point up, them, then spread my hands like, help! The man's expression doesn't change. He glances toward the tree line again. He's measuring the distance to consequences. Cal leans close and whispers, smoke's too thin. I look around. My eyes snag on a clay pot near the fire. Beside it, a small bottle with a greasy sheen, cooking oil or fish oil. The smell is sharp when I uncork it. It hits my nostrils like a slap. Oil makes smoke. My hands move before fear can argue. I snatch a palm-sized wad of damp leaves from a basket, greens meant for soup, and cram them into the fire. They hiss and smother the flame. The smoke thickens instantly, darker, angrier. The man with the machete steps forward, barking a word. Too late. I pour a splash of oil onto the wet leaves. The fire coughs, then belches a column of heavy smoke that punches upward through the gaps in the floorboards and into the sky like a signal flare made of breath and desperation. The teenager flinches. The man grabs my wrist, trying to yank me away. Cal moves. Fast. Not heroic. Efficient. He hooks his foot behind the man's ankle and shoves his shoulder into the man's chest. The machete clatters onto packed earth. The man falls hard, wind knocked out of him. Mason stares like he can't believe Cal just did that. Move, Cal snarls. We crawl out from under the house on hands and knees, into mud that's been churned by feet and rain. The smoke is already rising, thick as a marker in the grey sky. The dogs are at the edge of the village now. I see them first, dark shapes slipping between tree trunks, noses down, bodies coiled like springs. Behind them, men, rifles slung, moving with the hard patience of hunters. The villagers scatter. Not panic, just survival. Doors slam. Chickens explode in flapping chaos. The bell rings again, frantic now, like it's trying to undo what it started. Above us, the engine note grows louder. I stumble into the open yard, directly under the smoke column, and wave my arms like a madman. I rip a strip from my already torn flight suit and whirl it overhead. It's filthy, mud-stained, but it moves. Movement is visible. Movement is language. The first rifle shot cracks past me and punches into a post. Splinters sting my cheek. Mason yelps and drops flat. Cal yanks him back up by his collar. "Not here!" he snaps. "Not now!" I keep waving. The engine sound swells, then changes, slower, heavier, that unmistakable thump, thump, thump of rotor blades cutting air. A helicopter. It appears as a dark shape, sliding through low cloud, wobbling as it fights wind and rain. For a second it's so close I can see the belly, the open door, a figure leaning out. Then the helicopter banks away, hesitating. Because to them, a village is danger, a clearing is a trap, and 3 ragged men waving their arms could be bait. My throat closes. No. No, no, no. I slam both arms up and cross them into an X, then point to myself, then to the smoke, then to the tree line where the dogs are now sprinting. The helicopter steadies. A crewman leans out farther. I see his helmet. I see his head swivel, scanning. Then, like Mercy deciding it's tired of being careful, the helicopter commits. It dips toward the yard, rotors shredding the air. The village erupts in wind. Palm fronds whip. Dust and ash spiral. I run toward it, legs screaming, feet slipping in mud. The rotor wash is so strong it knocks me sideways. I throw myself forward anyway, hands out, blinking through grit. A line drops, strap and metal hook swinging like a pendulum. "Grab it!" someone screams from the door. I jump, fingers catching the strap. Pain lances through my shoulder like lightning, but I clamp down and don't let go. Hands reach out, strong, gloved, hooking me, hauling. Gunfire rattles from the tree line. I hear rounds snapping through air, the ugly whip of bullets near skin. Mason tries to run, stumbles. Cal grabs him, shoves him toward the line. "Go!" Cal roars, voice raw. "Go!" Mason grabs on. The crew yanks. Cal follows, teeth bared, eyes hard, refusing to look back at the jungle like it might persuade him to stay. As the helicopter climbs, the world drops away, village shrinking, smoke smearing, dogs becoming dots, men becoming shadows. The jungle becomes what it always was, endless green, hiding everything it takes. Inside the helicopter, the noise is deafening, but the quiet inside my head is worse. Because now that I'm above the canopy, safe for the first time in how long? I realize something I didn't expect. Part of me is still down there, lying in mud, counting breaths, listening for dogs.